All right, thank y'all. One thing, and I can't remember if we do this live or not, but we had a student appreciation day today, and man, we got a lot of students that are part of this. I think sometimes we lose track, but from just a student perspective, is equipment managers, student trainers, nutrition staff, video staff, our creative people, um, our student football coaches, and then people that help in recruiting. So we've got a lot of undergrads that are here that help this thing run, and they do a really good job. So recognize them in front of the team today. So I want to do that in front of you all as well. In the stadium today, we went, probably between 40 and 50 total snaps with the ones and the twos, and about 20 with the threes. A little light on D-line numbers, so we didn't go as many with the threes. And then we did some special teams competition. During the spring, we split them up into four special teams groups, and that's all the offensive skill and mids, defensive skill, defensive mids, and they're on four teams, and we do competitions throughout, and they earn points. And so we did that today in the stadium. We had a full Big 12 officiating crew here, so we got some really solid work with the competition and the punt. Ollie Straw is continuing to build off a really good freshman season, and then Leighton Bechtel, who is the backup punter, he's had a really strong spring, so I wanted to recognize him. And then Austin Brinkman, I think he's got a chance to be as good as anybody in the country long snapping. Field goal competition is ongoing. Michael Hayes has done some really good things. Didn't have his best day today in the stadium, and then Danny King is continuing to show some growth and really putting pressure on him. So I'll start, just talking about the scrimmage aspect of it. I'll start on defense, and Mike Lockhart and Hammond Russell, both those guys, we need them. They're probably as integral for us as anybody on either side as far as needing to make a jump this spring, and they have through 12 practices, 4 weeks. They've gotten better, and they've not arrived yet, but I thought both of those guys did some nice things. Bartlett had a couple sacks on third downs, one particular inside a 2-minute drill that really his team won. And then James Hurd, natural pass rusher, probably as natural pass rusher as we've recruited. He'll be a factor for us. He'll play in the fall. Linebacker, I think Lee Koba is probably maybe I don't say he from where he was last spring to where he is this spring. He's made the most improvement. I think he's got a chance to be an all-league type player. Trey Lathan is a guy that played well today. Had a couple nice plays in short yardage. And then Jai Favris is really grown into kind of one of those special teams core players and doing some nice things on defense. Defensive back-wise, I think Marcus Floyd had a nice day. Had a couple good open field tackles, one on CJ in particular. Wilson Lamp made a couple nice plays on the ball, which is good. It's kind of time for him, and he had a nice day. Keyshawn Cobb, transfer, played as many snaps as we could get him today, and he'll be a factor. He'll be pushing for a starting job there in the secondary, and Lance Dixon quietly has had a nice spring. We're playing him on the out in space, kind of where he finished last year, and he's getting more accustomed to that, and he's growing is kind of on and off the field. So proud of what he's doing. Offensively, I'll start with the quarterbacks. I know that's y'all probably as much as anything y'all want to hear. Just talk about each of them individually. Garrett, I'll talk about him first. And we're just alternating these guys. So they went some with the ones and some with the twos. So as I talk about them, just know that could have been with the ones, could have been with the twos. But he had three explosive runs. One probably 60 plus yards, and then threw the deep ball very well today. Two that are really fresh in my mind on go balls, and then made a couple of mistakes on third down. Got to have some situational awareness. Got to have some field awareness where he's at. Took a sack that he probably shouldn't have, but some explosive plays. And scrambled around and did some nice things too on some broken plays. Nico had 2 nice drives, and what I mean by that is he converted multiple third downs. And we forget, he's in his second spring. He's a redshirt freshman. He's right in the middle of this thing, but he's young. And today I thought he just made the simple decisions. I think a lot of times in football it's not getting yourself beat. And he didn't on those 2 drives, especially early in practice. He just made good decisions. If it was a handoff, he handed it off. Right, third down completion, not taking sacks. Just did a nice job and showing some maturation there, which is good to see. I thought wideout, Jayshon Polk has had a nice week, and so he's been a little bit battling a leg injury, but he was healthy this week. And while we got him, got an opportunity to be a factor in the return game, and then get him the ball where he can make some explosive plays and he can run. And so he had a nice day. Devin Carter, I haven't talked about him in a little bit, but he's been really consistent. And then tight end, Cole Taylor and Will Dixon both had some nice catches, especially down in the red zone, which is something we need. And then I thought all 4 of the running backs did some good stuff. CJ went full today. Had a couple, was really good in our short yardage period. I thought Tony Mathis may have had his best day of the spring, and then Jalen and Justin both had some nice runs, and Justin's getting really comfortable of reading some of our run plays. So all 4 of those guys had a nice day. We've got so Tuesday and Thursday we'll get after pretty good, and then we'll have some fun on Saturday for the spring game. So that's kind of rundown. Y'all ask questions, Greg.
So I won't pound you on Jimmy Bell, but I got to ask a couple of questions.
Fair.
So first of all, what have you seen about him, and have you ever had a basketball player?
Yeah, we've had. Yeah, we did. When I was coordinator at Troy, we had one. And so, I'm trying to keep expectations within reason, right? So the things that Jimmy has that are natural is, and I think there is some crossover between what he's asked to do in basketball and playing offensive line, okay, and playing some tight end. Pass pro is not, when they, people started playing the pick and roll game, he had to guard the guy out on the perimeter. It's not too much different than playing or pass proing. You got to keep a smaller guy in front of you. All right, so there's some crossover. Obviously, the biggest difference is we can use our hands in this game. And Coach Moore and I've heard him say it multiple times this week, hey, you're not fouling out. There ain't no foul outs in this game, right? So just him getting used to punching and the importance of ball get off. And so what I do like about him, he's extremely coachable. And Hug said he was, and he definitely is extremely coachable. He works hard. I think he's had an open mind on this. And I went into it with zero expectations, and what I told him is, hey, let's teach you. And he's played football, all right. So this isn't like, hey, rolling out there and playing football for the first time. He's played football. It's been since 16 or 17. Last time he played. He played as a junior in high school. His last year he played. He got recruited some. Obviously he's also about 60 pounds heavier. But when he went to prep school out in Arizona, they didn't have football, and he just played basketball. And he's been playing since. So he has some knowledge of playing the game. But we went 2 weeks and just did fundamentals, just kind of get him. And we did some cardio things because it's different. And then this week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, he's practiced, and we're going to do the same next Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and give us some time to regroup and see if it's something that we think can work or he thinks that he wants to make happen, and I just try to keep expectations in reason. It's a really tough transition, but he's attacked it. And so he went today. Probably, I don't have it in front of him, but I'm betting he probably went 25 plays live within an 11-on-11 period and did some pass protection and some inside drill as well. And he's getting better. Like, you can see considerable growth since Tuesday.
Who's the guy at Troy position and was any good?
Yeah, I'm not going to answer any of that.
Okay, that tells us. Never mind.
You mentioned Lee Koba.
This one looks better. I'll say that.
Lee Koba, you mentioned most improved. What specifically is?
Yeah, he's body control. He's controlling his body. He's, being comfortable in the scheme is so important too, and he feels very confident. But his body control, he has less wasted movement. He's a box linebacker, and he's not running himself out of plays. He's reading his keys better. I think he's just more comfortable. He's playing with more confidence.
With him now, the backup situation a little bit more in question with Josiah's injury. So, what's the depth look like at that position?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that, Greg. Really, we got Trey Lathan is there. You got Caden Beiser, who has grown into where he can play. We y'all didn't ask about him much, but we stole some snaps with him last year, playing in there, and so I feel like we're going to be fine from a depth perspective. We played him too much last year, and that was out of necessity. He had to play almost every snap. You'd like for him to play about 2/3 of the snap, and I think that will help him.
Can Ben Cutter play there too?
Ben can. Yeah, we're playing him at will right now, but he definitely can play there. Yeah, he definitely can play there. Really trying to cross train right now, Keenan, all those guys. Just using the spring and we probably hadn't done as good a job of that in the past, but we're being intentional about it right now. It's just double training, but where they know Mike and Will both.
You've talked all spring about running backs as catching the ball. Can you categorize the four elements to what your level skills are?
Well, the easy thing on that is like, so CJ's got ball skills. He played receiver. Jalen Anderson, they used him a bunch in empty. So he caught the ball a lot in high school. And Jalen's got a basketball background. He played basketball. I mean, I think that's really good for hand-eye coordination. And he was an above-average basketball player. So very seldom do you ever see a basketball player that's above average that struggles catching the ball, right? And Justin and Tony, neither were asked to do that in high school, but they've been in the program long enough now where they're plus hands guy. They can run routes. Very similar progression like Letty. Letty wasn't asked to do that in high school, kind of got better at it each and every year. If you remember, his last year, we played him. We ran routes with him. He had a bunch of catches his last 2 years. And I think that's a similar progression that Justin and Tony both have had.
Would it be possible to think that you might have more running back catches than wide receiver catches?
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. But I do think our receiving numbers are going to be considerably more than they were a year ago. Yeah, I do. But receivers will still have more. I'm hoping, our tight end numbers are going to be up as well.
Lockhart and Russell, what specifically do they need to be able to?
For them, they've got both of them have that ability, right? And so it starts with ability. They both have it. They both worked hard on their conditioning, which was a factor. Pad leverage, both of them are tall, but they have the ability to play low. It's just having to do it repeatedly, right? Which goes back to that conditioning piece. But both are talented. They use their hands well, and they're doing a better job versus double teams. A lot of what we ask them to do is take some heat off the linebackers, and they're understanding their job, right? Your job not all the time to make the play. It's so somebody else can make the play, right? And I think they're having a better understanding of that.
You came into the spring realizing you had to add some pieces if possible, certain positions. Any positions now you feel like maybe you don't have to, or maybe some that have popped up that, I have to add here?
Yeah, I think O-line wise, and I don't mean we won't add, but like today, Sullivan Weedman, Sully had a really good day, so I feel good about him going in, probably similar to where Tomas was about this time a year ago, so I feel better about him. Dylan Ray's had a nice spring. I think he's getting to a point where he can be a factor. Nick Malone continues to come on. So, offensive line-wise, I think I feel better about our depth now than I did at the start. Linebacker, which we already talked about, is another position where I think those guys, coming into it. And I'm not saying we won't add anybody, but, I'm more and more comfortable with what we have. The same spots that I said, we need probably one more wide out We need at least a D lineman, and you've seen kind of what we're doing at corner.
Pleased with how the O-line has functioned without Frazier this spring?
Well, we've kind of so Milo missed some time. Doug's missed a little bit of time because he was sick, and then Frazier has not been out there. I think you try to find the silver lining in all of it. So the silver lining with Frazier, first of all, is Doug Nestor his leadership ability is really grown, and he's kind of been pushed, and Wyatt Milam's been pushed out of his shell a little bit where he's having to speak more. So I think those are long-term really, really good things. And what it does is it forces you as a coach when you've had some guys out. Like Brandon Yates has had a great spring. He's played all inside, and, man, he's done a really good job. I'm really excited for him and what the fall looks like for him. But as a coach, like with Wyatt missed on Tuesday and Thursday. Well, that causes you to, it forces you to, for guys to get reps versus the best players we got. And so in the long run, that helps, right? And so because those guys have missed some time, we've had to put our younger guys out there versus the ones, and I'm probably more comfortable now than maybe even I assumed we would be at the start.
So good's come out of a bad.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Seems like every time we talk to a defensive player, they're really confident about the group despite what was lost and what's going on. Are you comfortable with what you've seen throughout the spring in terms of what you wanted to see throughout the spring and the whole going back to basics plan? And is there even a possibility that despite losing Dante and others, that this group, with even who may come in through the portal, could even maybe have an athletic edge because they're a little smaller in some positions? But
Well, we better be better. You know what I mean? Like the bar's pretty low for that too. So we better be better than we were a year ago.
where's your satisfaction level, I guess?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Like, if you're looking at it, it's hard to look at it from the whole perspective to the end, right? So we're faster on defense. Fundamentally, we are better. In tackling today, we tackled better in that stadium. Definitely improved over where we were 2 weeks ago, first time we went really live. Some of those questions I'm not going to be able to answer you until we go and play games, right? I'm very confident that we're going to be better than we were a year ago. Will we miss Dante? Yes. Dante's a great player. He's going to get drafted. Like, we are definitely going to miss him. But do I think we'll be better as a defense overall? Absolutely. I have full confidence in that. I think fundamentally, first of all, our pad level's better, where our angles and our strain to get to the ball is better. We're doing a better job of shedding blocks, which is very, very important, something that we were below average at last year. So, I think we're progressing. I'm not saying we've arrived, but we're progressing.
What's your thought of your cornerback situation?
Yeah, so, I think if you look at it, Montre, he's had some ups and downs. He can run. I think the more comfortable he gets in the system, he's going to be I think he's going to be a solid Big 12 player for us. And that's what we thought when we took him from Kent State. Great guy. He works. He's hungry. Lamp and Spells are both growing. I think that those are the two guys that we really need to make a move. And there's been some ups and some downs in the spring, but I think those guys are going to be guys we can count on to play. Malachi continues. Malachi Ruffin played good football for us at the end of the year. He made the one really boneheaded play that went viral against Oklahoma State, but he also made two hell of a plays at the end of the Oklahoma State game too. And he really played pretty solid football. And so he's always going to be kind of a steady guy out there. And we've added a player, and we may even add another one. Maybe not at corner, but in the secondary. May add another one.
You mentioned Jared Bartlett. How has he come along with consistency? You feel like he's at the point now where he's playing some of his best football?
He's playing the run better. He's playing the run better. I think he has less wasted movement. He had a good winter. He's put on some weight. I can't remember when I think he talked to y'all at some point, but he's put on some good weight. He when I say wasted movement, less false steps. He's using his hands better. He's setting up. some of our movement stuff that we do with him. He's setting it up better, a little more patient, which comes with maturity. I'm pleased with where he is. Like, he and Lee Koba made some real solid gains.
What's the format of the spring game going to be like?
I don't know yet. I ain't got there. I'm gonna work on that tomorrow.
I was actually going to ask you that. I'm sure you've seen some coaches have changed up their format this year.
Yeah.
For the spring games, some are going offense, defense, just straight, not doing drafts anymore. What are your thoughts? I guess I
So-
give it away now. But
No, like it's open. That's how I left the staff meeting this morning before we went to position meetings. I said, okay, so like y'all have one day when we come back together on Monday morning. Like, I want all your ideas for spring game.
Something's kind of intriguing.
Yeah. Here's the thing that's changed about spring games, that they're all TV. They're on TV. And so everybody has access to them. So everybody that we play at the early part of the year, first thing they're going to do is pull out what we did in the spring game. And so from a coaching perspective, like, you always got to think about that. All right. And then what I always think about a spring game is, okay, if I was coming to watch a spring game, like, what would I want to see? Well, I want to see some type of competition, right? We're going to do some things that are interactive, with some kids and things like that, because I think that adds to it. And then some real football. Now we're not going to go out there and play 4 quarters of real football, but so we're and y'all, if y'all got any good ideas, tell Monty too. Maybe we can use y'all's ideas, because
Cancel it, right?
Huh?
Some coaches cancel this. You're not going to cancel it.
no, we're not canceling it. But I do understand why they do. Coaches in general are paranoid, so like they get paranoid about the TV deal, like, which I do understand. What I do think, I think it's good. You just think about it, like, if you're a family and you come to a spring game, all right, well, you're going to get, let's say that you don't get to come to games during the fall for whatever reason. You get really good seats, and there's a good chance you might have some chance to interact with players. And so I think there's definitely a place for them. I'm more on I want them to be fun. I look at them as, we got 14 practices as coaches, and they get that one so we'll try to make it fun.
Do you ever think of it in the mindset as an opposing coach? Like, for example, Pitt's doing a offense, defense type of thing this year. You play them early in the year. Obviously, they're going to have to play games by that point. But do you ever think, like, I'm going to get more by watching that than if they did it the old way? Like,
There's something to that, mate. Something to that. Yep, there's something to that.
You get a couple fullbacks. You've not always used that in the
Yeah.
past. What were your thoughts? Can you use fullbacks this
Yep.
year? What do you thought of what you got?
Yeah, so getting big soccer updates here. So if you look at me, yeah, we're down in Charleston playing soccer. So we, those kids we're getting them reps, and we played with a fullback all the time at Troy, because we really struggled to recruit tight ends there and at that level. So we used the fullback a lot. We've got Luke Hamilton, who's a natural fullback, and then Colin McBee he's just a football player from right here in town. Like, he's a good football player. He can block, and we're trying to get him bigger where he can be a fullback, but we still handed him the ball a good bit. And I really believe, I don't know about this fall, but at some point he's going to be somebody that plays for us. But Luke and Colin are both playing that fullback role. Yeah, and I do think how big a role to be determined, but I think both those guys can do some things to help us.
Cortez Bram and maybe some of the other receivers. You seen any movement?
Cortez made 2 nice. I should have included him, really. He made 2 nice plays today. He's probably a leading receiver in the scrimmage, John. So I'm glad you asked about him. I'm pleased. I went into this spring thinking, we're trying to put our receivers in some pressure situations. Obviously, it's a whole new room, which in old days would freak you out. In today's world, kind of just is what it is. But Devin Carter, after watching him work in the winter, I knew kind of what he was going to be, and I think he's got a chance to even improve on what he was at NC State. And then Cortez, I feel really good exiting as we go into our last week about some of the things he's done. And then we need Jeremiah Aaron, Jay Sean Polk, Preston's been really solid again. Hudson Clements had a nice spring. So we just need some of those guys. Jarrell Williams, we need some of those guys to keep coming.
Okay, anything else?
Neal, going back to what Bob was asking you earlier about the running back catching the ball, is there a split that you like to hit, I guess, between wide receiver catches, tight end catches, running back catches? Like, is there a split that kind of, I guess if you hit that, you've been successful, kind of?
Yeah, so the way we look at it is you got basically 5 eligibles all the time. And so you want, not necessarily from a touch, but you'd like for them to be somewhat distributed, right? And where we haven't got as much production out of the tight end position as we'd like to. And so that's what we got to pick up. And then from a running back perspective, I thought Letty, we got him involved in the pass game. And we fell off that a little bit last year, and we need to get, we got guys that have multiple skill sets, and so they're good with the ball in their hands. So we've really worked on that this spring. So I do think the running backs and the tight ends both will be more of a factor, but try to distribute it between the 5.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you all.